Greetings, Eric Brown, MOBO-Media, MOBO-Media. Hey, coming at you again with one of my post-workout walks. Just want to talk about something that's on a lot of people's minds now, and that's the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina. So 20 years ago, around this time, there was a lot of tragedy, a lot of suffering, a lot of death, a lot of questions. I will tell you, as a military member, 20 years later, I still have questions. Not. I don't want to get into the racial component of what's going on because I think that's been debated enough. Any idiot with a pair of eyes can see what was going on with that. What I want to talk about is the military's response. The military's response. I want to talk about the military's response to Hurricane Katrina because at the time I sat and watched the hurricane form. Me and my wife, we actually sat on TV during that time and watched it form out. And it came and come up through the Gulf. We saw everything from calm to calamity. And let me tell you, it was just heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. But the thing that really stood out to me and what really angered me was the military's response to Hurricane Katrina. Our response to Hurricane Katrina. I'm not going to say the military's response because you can't put that on the military. It's America's response to Hurricane Katrina because at the end of the day, these were Americans affected by this horrific this hurricane. So sitting there watching the stuff on TV, man, it just angered me so much because at the time that Hurricane Katrina occurred, I had been in the Air Force about 18 years. About 18 years. In fact, I had an assignment. I was getting ready to head over to Japan for 4 years, and I think I had a couple of weeks left here in the States before I headed over to Japan and for a 4 year tour over there. And so, sitting watching Hurricane Katrina, and I'm looking at all these. Well, first of all, I saw, obviously the water. They talk about the levees breaking and all that stuff. But the thing that really, really angered me is the fact that I've been on a lot of humanitarian missions around the world. As I mentioned, up until the time I had been in the Air Force for 18 years. So I've been involved with a lot of humanitarian missions around the world in other countries. Just sitting here thinking about it, I was in Rwanda. Anybody remember the movie Hotel Rwanda? I was there in Kenya, Mombasa, Kenya, supporting those folks and uh, flying in supplies, flying in food, aid, with all the aircraft, you name it. And when I think of Katrina, I don't understand why there's such a difference. Why there's such a difference in our response. We sat there and watched all these people suffer, and we had the resources. I mean, you saw the resources. You saw the military gear and hardware and helicopters, but it was very limited in what they were doing. So I just didn't understand what was going on. And I think everybody was just screaming to the top of their lungs, like, what are you waiting on? What are we waiting on? Now, I will say this. I will say this. A lot of humanitarian missions I was involved with in the military, obviously, they were overseas. I don't necessarily recall the military being used heavily in a humanitarian mission here at home, although it occurs. It occurs, certainly. I just don't recall the military having to respond to something of that magnitude, or America to respond to something of that magnitude on their own shores, using our available military resources. But what I saw, man, was it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. You see bodies floating in the water. You see people trapped on top of homes. You see, obviously, the Superdome ended up being like a super nightmare. It was just bad. It was just bad all around, man, all around. And a lot of the people that suffered during Hurricane Katrina are still impacted today. There were a lot of families broken apart. A lot of folks lost their homes. Um, I think there was even a time where people were separated from children. A lot of people were separated from children. And I hopefully, there's some resolution in that, and those folks were able to reconnect with family. But the military's response, or America's response, I keep saying the military. I can't put that on the military. I put that on America. I put that on the person at the top who can make the decision to get the military down there to get the help they need. But I didn't understand why is it in all these other countries we're so quick to provide aid. And I mean, I've been on the shipping end of it. I've seen Air Force flight line full of pallets of just supplies and planes coming back and forth, going to devastated areas. I was in the Philippines during they had an earthquake, 7.8 earthquake on the Richter scale. That's a pretty powerful earthquake. And it tore up a part of the Philippines called Baguio. And I'll never forget the amount of military support that was used to assist those folks in Baguio, with pallets and um, aircraft, you name it, man. We were, I mean, pallets. When I say pallets, I'm talking about um, containers of just foods and water and medical supplies and all those good things. It was just constantly going over there, and I didn't see that in Hurricane Katrina. I didn't see that, and I would sit there and watching Hurricane Katrina. I'm like, why in the hell don't they do airdrops? And I understand there's dangers with that. There's logistics and things that have to be coordinated for something like that. But at the end of the day, these folks were at their last. They were at the end. I mean, with sin, they had nothing. I mean, I think somebody could have airdropped some more food supplies or something in there. If anything, why didn't the leaders at the top say, you know what? Since this is a water disaster, let's tap the Navy to get in there and do their thing. You know, the Navy has great rescue resources. They got boats, they got things that can get in anything that has water in it. And just like they did with me in when I was involved in Mount Pinatubo volcanic eruption in the Philippines, the Navy, to me, seemed to take the lead on getting everybody out of there. Because when that thing happened, I think the president said everything, every military asset, commercial asset in that region head to the Philippines. Well, why couldn't they do that for Hurricane Katrina? I didn't understand that. You know, everything came to the Philippines when Mount Pinatubo blew. Navy ships, and I don't want to say it was as bad as Hurricane Katrina, but it was just as challenging. You're talking about volcanic ash. You can't just travel through volcanic ash, just like they couldn't just travel through water. But they were able to do it. They did it. But what I saw with Hurricane Katrina was just non-action. I saw non-action. You know, like I said, I've been involved with a lot of military humanitarian missions, so I know what we're capable of. I know what our people are capable of. It just seems like our people were not given the green light to do anything. I just didn't understand that. I was just so frustrated behind that, and it caused me to really rethink America and the fact that we're helping all these people around the world when it comes to, you know, natural disasters and calamities, but when it comes to us, our own people, I don't think we give the same effort. It's like we don't give that same effort. It's almost like we do it for folks in other countries for, how can I put this? Um, it's almost like, you know, America's known for, you know, spreading democracy around the world and spreading freedom around the world and things like that. It's almost like America was doing, they do that around the world to spread that instead of spreading, um, instead of saving their own people, instead of saving their own people here in New Orleans. You know, it's almost like they want to be goodwill ambassadors around the world, let people know, oh, we're America and we'll help you in time of need. You know, we'll drop everything. But it didn't happen in Katrina. I'm sorry, it did not happen in Hurricane Katrina. A lot of people lost their lives, a lot of suffering, a lot of devastation. And I just didn't understand why the green light was not given to get the right resources in there to help those people. Even to this day, I have flashbacks, man, because, you know, on TV, they're starting to show a lot of the images, a lot of the photos, videos, and I just get flashbacks to that horrible time. And I get angry all over again. I get angry all over again because I don't understand why the green light was not given to maximize resources heading over to that region. I just didn't get it. And keep in mind, Mount Pinatubo blew in 1991. 1991 is when it blew. And that's when the Navy took over. They sent every type of Navy ship there. They sent commercial airplanes. They sent everything there uh, to try to get it evacuated. Over 20,000 people. Over 20,000 people. And did a damn good job of it. And keep in mind, this is 1991. So, you know, Hurricane Katrina happened, what, 2005? So you would think by then, we should have gotten our shit together in terms of you know, quick response and planning and coordinating, and lessons learned, man. You know what I'm saying? After so many humanitarian missions, but it's just like when it came to us and our own country, it's like everybody was just like a deer in headlights. Like, what do we do? What do we do? You know, it's not a foreign country; it's our own country. Well, you go in and save the damn people. You give them hope. You give them an opportunity. You give them a chance. A lot of people had no chances, man. They had no chances. You know, it's easy to get news cameras in there and all over the place, seeing all this stuff. But you couldn't get pallets of food in there. You know what I'm saying? I saw all these military vehicles after a couple of days start driving through the waters, and they're, you know, you got the water rescue boats and all this type of stuff. You got a couple of helicopters there, but it still was nothing compared to what I've seen us provide in other countries overseas. It does not compare. It does not compare. I just didn't get it. You can get all that military hardware in there, but you can't get the people out, or you can't get food in. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that. there'll be people that will probably respond to this and say, well, that was different, blah, 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 blah. There'll be a lot of excuses for it. Well, you have your right to your excuses. And my opinion is based on my experiences. I have receipts for the humanitarian missions I've been on. I have receipts for the pallet drops and, getting supplies in the very challenging places. I have receipts for evacuating thousands of people out of destruction and disaster. I've got receipts for that. But what I don't have a receipt for is the reasons why we couldn't do the same damn thing in New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina. That'll be debated for years. Again, that was in 2005. We're 20 years past that now. Doesn't mean it still is not impacting and affecting people, but questions still remain on, what happened. In my opinion, I think America failed the people in New Orleans. They failed the people who were impacted by Hurricane Katrina. And I'm saying that as a proud American. I'm saying as a proud American. I'm saying as a proud veteran. We failed New Orleans. We failed the victims of Hurricane Katrina. We failed them. We failed them based on what I know that we can do, what I've seen us do in other countries. We failed them. I just didn't get it. I just didn't get it. So with that, I'm gonna let you go. I just thought I'd chime in and give my 2 cents on, the thoughts that are popping back up in my head about Hurricane Katrina. And it was just a horrific, horrific tragedy. It's I hope to never repeat something like that again in our country, but unfortunately, with the climate patterns and climate change and all the other weather changes around the world, we can expect more things like that. We had the floods in Houston some years ago. We've had the floods here in Central Texas months ago. So we're starting to have unprecedented weather patterns, which calls for us to get our ass at a table and sit there and figure out how do we respond to these tragedies on our own soil, particularly no matter how challenging it is. I don't give a damn if it's volcanic ash, if it's water. I don't give a damn what it is. We can go to outer space, but we can't go to New Orleans. I don't get it. We can go to Antarctica, but we can't go to New Orleans. I don't get it. Somebody make it make sense. So for the people of New Orleans, I'm still praying for y'all. The people that are affected by Hurricane Katrina, my prayers still go up for y'all. But in ending this, I will say there was no excuse. As a proud Air Force member, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Y'all take care. Eric Brown, MOBO-Media. Bye-bye.